The press and the Down Beach Current were notified of this meeting. A copy of same was posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building. Would you please turn off all electronic equipment, beepers, telephones, pagers, and we'll stand for the flag salute. Attention, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I lost my voice. Oh my God. My wife will be happy. Tom, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Becker?
Here.
Mr. Blumberg?
Here.
Ms. Tarvey?
Here. We will, Mrs. Tarvey, you had something about yard sales? Is that correct? About that, or that's what John said. Are you ready?
Okay, yeah, I'm ready.
Okay.
We had some yard sale dates. Frank had proposed a couple, or proposed one to me, and then I suggested, I thought this was going to be talked about last meeting, sorry, that I think Fred's not here, but I think Fred last year said that we should consider having the yard sale Saturday and Sunday instead of just Saturday. And I'm okay with that, but I just wanted to put it out there for our team to discuss.
I don't see any problem in it. I believe people actually do it on 2 days, even though they're supposed to do it on one. And Sunday's supposed to be the cleanup. Whatever day we choose, whether it's 1 or 2 days, I'm fine.
I think it worked in prior years where we did it on 2 days, where we did one side of the town on the one day, and then we did the other side of the town on the other day. For the people that were doing the yard sales, it gave them an opportunity to go. So you would do your yard sale on Saturday, but then you could go to yard sales on Sunday on the other side of town. A lot of people like that. And I also think that maybe logistically for you, the cleanup effort might be a little bit easier if we did them on 2 days. So I would support 2 days.
2 days everywhere, Maury?
No. Again, and maybe Roger, you can weigh in because you were heavily involved in this, I think. 1 day would be from Jerome to Coolidge on Saturday, and then the Sunday would be from Jerome to Fredericksburg. So 1 day would be one side of town, and then Sunday would be the other side of town.
You could do it any way you want, but the number of yard sales had come down over the past few years to where 1 day could cover the whole town. And I kind of think if you're going to do 2 days in a row, do the whole town 2 days in a row.
And that's fine too.
I agree. I think it would be less confusing to our residents if we did the whole town for 2 days.
And then, Frank, would it then be Monday cleanup day, or would Sunday still be cleanup day?
We would probably bring a crew in on Sunday. We wouldn't have to bring anyone in on Saturday, of course, but we would bring them in on Sunday, and then we would do the major cleanup on Monday.
Okay, so for purposes of the advertisement, we'll say cleanup starts 6 p.m. Sunday and into Monday, or something to that effect.
I wouldn't put it 6 p.m. I would put it early in the day.
Okay.
If they would like to put things out, we would be around during the day to do it.
Okay, that's great.
And Sundays, I don't know, probably typically would end a little earlier, I would think. So do you want to pick a time? I don't know, 4 or 5 that we...
I think the earlier the better for us, and I believe that I don't think it'll be a problem because the next day is trash day down at this end of town, so we basically would only be doing 2/3 of the town. So I think if we came in on Sunday afternoon and Monday morning, we would continue. It's just the date.
Can I ask Frank and Roger, do you think there's enough interest to go 2 days? I mean, I'm fine with it, but, yeah?
Yeah, I believe so.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, I'm good.
And the
2
date
days?
is going to be what's on the calendar?
That's what we had discussed. We thought we wanted to make it a week earlier because that date is Mother's Day, the date on the calendar, but we thought that would be too confusing. We'll do it next year, a week earlier. This year, we'll keep it Mother's Day.
That's
Yeah?
fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
Mother's Day weekend.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
The date would be the 7th or 8th?
Who's got a calendar? Saturday the 10th and Sunday the 11th, and clean up starting Sunday afternoon.
Sounds good.
You okay? Anything else? All right, Mr. Abbott.
Mayor, we have three things on me. Let's see, the first one has to do with the Attorney General's letter of opinion regarding the Dunes project. Mayor, I know it was addressed directly to you, and you have copies of those letters. I believe everybody here at the table has
If
received
everybody would
them.
like a copy, there are copies on the table. There are two letters, one that's addressed to us from the Attorney General, and there's a letter that I sent to the Commissioner of DEP and Assistant Attorney General and the Dave Rosenblatt of Coastal Engineering.
And so they are available for the public to review, and it's the Attorney General's opinion letter that we'd requested.
I would,
Care to expound on that, or would you?
no, the Attorney General's letter is 3 pages. I think I made copies so that you could all have them and, comment as, that doesn't have to be today, could be at the next meeting. The other letter is just a response of mine after reading in the press that article about the Wildwoods. It's very short. You have a copy of that also. You can do the same with that. And Tom, I'd like to give you this so that you can make them part of the permanent record. Thank you.
How far do you want me to go with this? Any further on this? Essentially, the Attorney General's office upholds the
Yeah, why don't you
state's
give us your
position
opinions?
that our ordinance is non-binding and that it can be rescinded with regard to having a referendum on participation in shore protection, and they're urging us essentially to go forward. I understand now that the project itself has been moved back past the summer. So there'll be a lot more developing on this, but it's just another step in the process. The mayor's letter, in turn, dealt with the issue that was raised. Many people commented on this regarding the Wildwoods and the Army Corps of Engineers representative saying they won't force the shore protection project down anyone's throat. So the mayor wrote a letter saying that why the Wildwoods and what about Margate? Which, I don't know, did we get a response to that
I've
one?
never received a response yet.
No response to that one. So that's where we are, moving forward on it. Okay, two other matters. 308 North Rumson Avenue. Commissioners, you'll recall there was some correspondence involving me. This had to do with the construction of a bulkhead. It was 90 foot of what they call replacement bulkhead. It was not being built at the elevation standard, which we've recently amended to compel at an elevation of 7.5. Most recently, it's now 7.5 as measured by 1988 datum. The owner of the property and their engineer met with us, talked. We had a number of discussions. I believe a stop work order was issued, and they agreed to raise their bulkhead. So this new 90-foot long bulkhead will be raised to the 7.5 elevation standard that was in effect at the time they received their building permit. Essentially, the matter is now fully resolved, and I'm very happy to see that, and I think it's critical that we uphold our ordinances regarding bulkhead elevation. This was a primary reason why we resisted a V-zone designation. This is also extremely important when it comes to future flood protection efforts by the city. If you have any questions on that, we can go over it now, or I can move on. Everybody satisfied? Okay. Beach badges for veterans. I received a request to follow up on a potential ordinance allowing veterans free beach badges without fee. Recently, the state changed the law and expanded the ability to provide free badges. I've given you a draft. I talked to a couple of the other towns, actually in Cape May, Stone Harbor, and I believe Avalon was one, as to how do they intend to implement this, who would actually check to see if they were an honorably charged veteran. That would be up to the veteran to produce necessary documentation. that if you want, you can provide that veterans receive free badges. Next question was, well, what about their families? I don't know how far you want to go with that. But this is the initial draft. I think Commissioner Talby, you had expressed an interest in this. Here's our first step, whatever you want to do at this point.
I think all of us expressed an interest.
Yeah, I think all of you did. Yes, true. So if you're happy with the way this is, we can put on the agenda for next meeting. If you want to modify it.
I would, like to discuss about whether we should include families. When I first, got interested in this, I thought we were doing veterans and veterans alone. I guess still probably leaning that way, but I'm not completely shutting the door to families. So I think it's something we should talk about.
I thought I saw an email somewhere where we were going to look into what Stone Harbor does regarding that. Mm-hmm. Do we know what Stone Harbor decided to do when they passed this?
They were still working on it.
Oh, okay.
They
hadn't decided.
didn't have a final version yet. In fact, they're also working on a policy manual as to how to implement it. So I think I don't know what their final result was. I know they were considering family members.
Has anyone contacted Ventnor? Are they going to
I did not
join
talk to
in
Ventnor.
because, we have shared badges?
That's a good point, Lisa.
I did not talk to Ventnor to see what they were doing. I don't believe they're looking at this yet. So we called up a number of towns to see who's considering it and found 2. But maybe Ventnor will be considering it now as well. It just passed. This law just came into effect, I believe it was last month.
Well, maybe what we should do is reach out to Ventnor and see if they would be on board, since we share tags with them. And also maybe follow up again with Stone Harbor, because it'd be nice if we could all, I don't have a problem with families, but if we could all do the same, it would be easy.
If I may, I actually reviewed this yesterday with the clerk's office. Where some of the confusion is, there's 2 distinct portions of this. One is for the veterans, and the other one is for active military, and that's where the family comes in, according to the way that's written.
Okay.
That's, if you read it, I believe it says the veteran,
Well, it could go,
and then it says
both ways.
an active, somebody that's on active military duty, we would provide badges to their family, including dependent children up to age 12, or after age 12. After age 12. So there's 2 distinct issues you need to look at.
Well, Mario, you have something?
Well, I was just going to say, I don't think it's going to crush us financially, no matter how we do it. In that regard, I think we should consider veterans and their families, as well as active military and their families. The revenue that we may lose we gain in goodwill, and we also will gain in probably people coming to town and using the beach and using our facilities and using our businesses. So I think we should get this thing going, get it on the agenda for first reading, certainly review it, and then maybe get it for first reading at our next meeting.
Scott?
Well, that's fine. You give me some direction, I'll check with Ventnor, I'll see what some of our sister communities are doing. And what I'm hearing is you would be in favor of, the 3 of you would be in favor of a veteran, an honorably discharged veteran, and family members of both. Am I correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
All right,
Is there-
I got it. I know what to do.
Would active members include members of the National Guard?
Well, I believe, yes, they are.
Okay, good.
National Guard's considered armed forces.
Good.
So,
I'm
yeah,
good with that.
I have that in there, and yes,
You all right?
they're in the basket, yes.
Good. Anything else, Scott?
No, that's all I have.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
Let's do roundtable. Maureen, we're going to start on your side today.
I prepared that spreadsheet that you asked me to about the beach badges, about raising the ordinance on those 3 city ordinances that the police use the most. I got Rich Dini's response. Did you guys, you okay with
okay.
it? With the raising them to the 150, the three of them?
Good by me.
Okay.
Andy, you okay?
All right,
Fine.
and then I'll just check with Tom there in the room what we have to do next to raise the fee. Ordinance, okay. I'd like it to take effect, if you don't mind, May 15th, because that's the week
fine.
before Memorial Day.
That's good.
Okay? All right.
Anything else, Maureen?
No, I got the revised plans from Ed, and I forwarded them up to the assignment judge's office about the courtroom because they had some questions on them, so I got them up on Tuesday, and I'm just waiting to hear back from them. I should probably hear early next week with their, if any other comments they have.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Roger?
Mayor, on the matter that Scott brought up about the bulkhead on Rumson Avenue, Scott, you had said in your summary letter you wanted to talk today about the process of amending the zoning ordinance regarding the general matters of the height of the bulkhead and decks and grades and accessory structures and things of that nature, and you wanted to get that going in terms of a zoning ordinance change with the planning board. Do you want to talk about that, Scott, or?
Sure, Roger. I saw your emails, and
Yeah,
I agree
yeah.
about a budgeting item. We
Okay.
need to take a good look at our zoning ordinance requirements. How are we going to deal with bayfront properties with decks, elevated bulkheads, the ability to fill in their ground, the
Right.
ability to raise their elevations of their adjoining ground and parking areas. And I guess probably the most controversial would be the creation of decks in their backyard along the bay. As you know, I'm very familiar with that issue. So, but it's something that has to be dealt with. And I understand now there's been a number of zoning cases where essentially the board approves these decks so they can go above the bulkhead. But you're going to have issues regarding someone else's loss of view, stairways, all that. We really do need to deal with this in our zoning ordinance.
It requires a pretty intensive study aside from and before a master plan. It should be done probably right away. And as I said in my emails, Jim Rutala, our grant man, is very optimistic about getting some of this funding in very soon to pay for it. So if it's okay with the commissioners, I guess, Scott, the way to do it is bring it up at the planning board meeting at the end of March and get them to
Well, I think that's the
take
right
steps.
avenue. I mean, the
Yeah.
planning board is really the one that deals with this on
Okay.
a monthly basis. And
Okay.
as we see more and more new bulkheads put in and higher elevations of those bulkheads, these deck issues are going to
Okay.
they're going to mushroom. We're going to keep having more and more of them. So, yeah.
Okay.
Now, as I understand it, Roger, there's going to be financing perhaps available to fund that, which is where I
It
think
sounds like it is, yeah.
So
All
that's
right,
it's
so
great.
it's all right with the commissioners, we'll put that on the, we'll bring that up at the planning board meeting. Maybe they'll set up a committee to come up with the names of planners, planning firms to do the study and flesh out a study and get the thing going. I mean, without making any commitments
That
as to
sounds-
price or who.
That sounds great to me. I mean, I think you have to do
That is the planning board's
that.
prerogative, right?
Yeah, maybe we can come up with some names and then put a request for proposal out from them to
Yeah,
see what they
something
come
along
back.
those lines, yeah.
Go.
Okay?
Yep.
Thanks.
Do you have anything else, Roger?
Nope.
Tom?
No, I'm good.
Scott, do you have anything else?
No.
Chief/business administrator, do you have?
I've almost survived my first week as business administrator, so that's a good thing. Other than that, we're good. Do you want me to do police?
Sure.
We're going to actually be doing another Operation Take Back, prescription drug take back at the police department in conjunction with DEA on April 26th between the hours of 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. In dovetailing with that, we were able to, which has been in the works for some time, I attended the Sustainable Margate meeting yesterday, and we're going to co-op with them on a project for placing a box, a prescription drop box in the police department for collection of prescription medication 24/7, 365 days a year to, better benefit our residents and get rid of things instead of putting them into the toilet and what have you, inappropriate disposal. So that's in the works also. Other than that, everything's good.
Good, thank you, Dave. Lise?
Chief, just a quick question. The prescription take-back tended to April 26th?
Yes.
And that's at the...
It's at the police department.
Okay, I'll put that in our newsletter, too.
Okay. Thank you.
Lisa?
On the agenda is the introduction of another capital ordinance, 2014-9, authorizing the amount of $1,670,250. Last meeting, I explained in detail we had introduced two capital ordinances which were in conformity with our capital budget. I just want to explain what this ordinance is. Anytime you authorize general capital, you're required to come up with a 5% down payment, which we did. Now, it came to my attention actually during a webinar I was doing the other day, where the local finance board is still waiving the down payment fee for any general capital projects that are related to Hurricane Sandy. So, which means that we could potentially, if approved by the local finance board, have a savings of just over $83,000. So I contacted bond counsel. I asked him to, confirm that, which he did. So we're introducing this ordinance for improvements to City Hall and also to improvements to the Union Avenue Municipal Building. And along with that is Resolution 2014-63 that authorizes us to make application to the local finance board for the waiver, which they meet, I believe it's April 9th, and we will find out. I just want to be clear that these projects are included in one of the ordinances that are having the second reading today, 2014-7. But at a future meeting, we're going to amend that ordinance to remove the project. So in total, the amount will stay the same, but it has to be separated in order to have a savings of that down payment. So that's good news. I don't see any reason why we wouldn't be approved, and like I said, we could save just over $83,000 by doing so. In addition to that, I found that the state's actuary for the pension calculations are being revised. So I have not received the revised bill yet. They're actually due to be paid by April 1st, but I was told not to process the payment yet until we get the revised bill, and actually we're expecting the bills to go down. So I don't know by how much. I don't think it's going to be a material amount, but at least it's not an increase. The only other thing I have is that beach badges officially go on sale March 24th. That's it.
Thank you. Good job as usual, Lisa. Frank?
We'll be doing fire hydrant flushing starting March 17th to the 21st from 7 o'clock in the morning till 4 in the afternoon. We also dealt with another snowstorm Monday. I'd like to thank the guys in the Public Works Department. They did another excellent job. This year's been tough, but we've been staying ahead of the storms, and hopefully this is the last one. That's all I have.
Thank you, Frank, and on behalf of everybody in the city, good job, as always. Okay. Mari, do you have anything?
Yeah, I have a couple of things. First of all, a very, very happy birthday to our fire chief, who is unable to attend today, but I think today is, in fact, his birthday. They do a great job in the fire department, and I think today was a big day for him, probably his 50th birthday. I wanted to say thank you to Frank and his crew for a job well done. Again, I know that he was short-staffed, and our streets were in phenomenal shape the day of and the day after the storm. So, thank you very much. Lastly, regarding resolution number 62, the dedication of the dog park. At the suggestion, I had conversations with our business administrator, Mr. Deeney, And in an email and at his suggestion, he thought that we should wait at least a year before we did this, and that we should come up with a policy so that we more or less don't open up the floodgates for requests naming city, dedicating city properties to individuals. So I think that in taking his recommendation that we should wait on the dedication of the dog park, we have programs in place for honoring residents, existing programs in place. We have a beach, Adopt a Beach program, we have an Adopt a Brick program, and we have an Adopt a Bench program. So in the meantime, while we are trying to come up with a policy, it would be my suggestion that we could honor Anne by one of these methods and wait until we had a policy before we dedicated the dog park. And that's all I have. So in that regard, I would suggest, I would like you to consider that we pull 62, again, at Mr. Deeney's recommendation. And I agree with him on that.
I have to tell you, Maury, that I don't agree with you, and I don't think it's really fair to quote somebody who's not here.
But I
and
have
doesn't
the email,
anything
Mike.
in it.
I have the email if you want to see it. I have his email. He sent it to all of us, so you have a copy of it.
I
where he
received
suggested that we
no
wait.
such email. Did you get one? No. Okay.
Okay, so between the meetings, I'll get it and
No,
I'll give it to you.
Okay. Brenda, do you have anything?
I do. I have a lot, sorry. I respectfully disagree with Maury. Nobody cared for Margate more than Ann Pancoast, and if it weren't for Ann, we wouldn't have the dog park. So I think dedicating it, hopefully on her birthday, May 13th, would be a wonderful tribute in her honor. Good afternoon. It's nice to be here. I missed the last couple of weeks because I've been in jury duty. We had no witnesses today, so the judge gave me off. We should be wrapping up, so hopefully after next week I'll be able to make the 4 o'clock meetings. I noticed there's a resolution today to go into executive session, number 66, by Commissioner Blumberg. According to Rosie, he requested it because he's concerned about my department, its management, and possible litigation. I don't think the executive session is necessary, and I won't vote for it. And I think the subject must be limited to pending or actual litigation, and we have none. In my opinion, it's another attempt to, I don't know, just bully me, if you will, for asking the tough questions and making changes that don't please some, but are best for Margate. Part of my job is to provide good and fair oversight on the goings-on of our city, and that's what I'll do no matter how challenging some make it for me. Scott, stop me if I go into territory where I shouldn't, but recently Sharon Simon opened a document which was prepared by me for our auditors in advance of the 2011 audit. This document was handed over during the discovery phase of Hiltner versus the City of Margate. Hence, Tom Hiltner learned of it and must have shared it with his friend Sharon Simon. Otherwise, there's no way she could have known of its existence. It's a public document, so it was turned over. And as most of us know, Sharon's not a big fan of mine, or the mayor's either. I'm sorry, Mike. And I anticipate her using it to disparage me if she can. Which is why I want to make it available to everyone, so that it's viewed fairly. So Scott, I have copies, and after the meeting, if I'm allowed to, I'd like to give it to anybody who is interested in reading it.
I know no reason why you couldn't.
Okay. All right, and or I can give it to the clerk's office. It's up to our solicitor.
Can I just comment in here for a minute? You said that it was turned over. Who'd you turn it over to?
I gave it to, you weren't here last Tuesday.
Okay.
I gave it to Linda Morgan to give to Tom, and then I think Rich got it.
Okay.
And gave it to Tom.
All right, because even though I'm not here, people leave things for me because I should be the one to get it. I have no idea what this it says, what it is.
Well, then I apologize. I'll put it on your desk the next time.
Okay, so
Tom, did you get
let's
it?
everybody just remember the procedures.
You gave it to
It makes it so much easier
But you
because
did get
everything's,
it. I gave it to Rich.
So Sharon, did you not get a copy of the Oprah request for the Ford Scott report? Okay. Well, I have it here if you want it.
Oh, that's, you'll have
Okay.
it, Jason.
On another note, for several years, we've been charging our Board of Ed $5,200 to cut the grass at the tie field. I thought this was fair because, I thought this wasn't fair, rather, because it's the job of our Public Works Department to care and maintain public property. The $5,200 that we've been charging the Board of Ed has not been going to the city. It's been given directly to a member of our Public Works team as an extra stipend over and above his salary. And I won't state it, but this may be the reason Maury wants to go into executive session. He probably wants to give me a hard time for doing this. I stand by my decision, Commissioner Blumberg. We are attempting to do away with stipends in the city, and this is the last one in our Public Works Department.
For the record, I have no knowledge of what it is that you're referring to.
Okay. Other departments in the city with stipends are for unrelated extra duties. I was going to talk about the beach advertising, but Mr. Gallagher isn't here. I also have the two resolutions that we had in 2011. One was to go to bid, and another one was awarding the successful bids, and a story that the Current did at the time. And it's up to Scott, but I have them available if anybody wants to see them.
They're public documents.
Okay, well,
Anybody
they're
can see them.
available too.
Sure.
The advertising's now down because the contract expired on February 16th. I don't like to offer this kind of advertising for two reasons. One, aesthetics, and two, I don't think there's any value to the city, especially this year. Other advertising is definitely a benefit, like with a calendar that Fred Verna has done for us and has been doing for us. I learned today through Lisa that the sponsors pay for just about the whole expense of the calendar, which is really awesome. And I want to say good job to Fred, and the calendar really, it looks good. Another, I think, good advertising opportunity, which is good for the city, is the lifeguard boat transom advertising. It's especially helpful for offsetting the cost of the boat, so, that's wonderful. Okay, now on to something else. I've been working very hard at this job, but I'm not perfect and I make mistakes. I mistakenly deleted some emails regarding the Shore Protection Project. In early December, I was working from home over the weekend doing some emailing when I realized that the emails weren't going through, nor was I able to receive emails. The message was because there wasn't room to send or receive, so I thought, I got a message that I wasn't able to send or receive because my whatever was full. So I deleted some that I didn't think I needed, and they regarded the Shore Protection public meeting, which I was planning in October, but then Mike and Maury voted not to host the meeting, so the meeting never happened. After this weekend, the beginning of that very next week, I received an email from Rosie that Vaughn Reel, through Oprah, wanted anything related to the Shore Protection Project. I sent the clerk's office an email about what I had done and mentioned that Rich was CC'd on every email so he would have them. I also asked if Fred could somehow retrieve them from my server. Frankly, I didn't know until recently that every single piece of email needs to be saved. Of course, from now on, I will not delete anything except the spam. I'm all for transparency. In fact, I wish everyone was 100% of the time and attention I devote to my commissioner's position, because then maybe some people would be a little more kind and respectful, maybe. To end on a happy note, I'd like to congratulate Jerry Greenberg for his 3-year reappointment as an emergency management coordinator. Our mayor reappointed him to this very important position to lead us in crisis. Kudos to Jerry. And Maury and Mike have both spoken about this already, but I have to again, not only for me, but for the entire community. I have to thank our Public Works team for their extra efforts in this unusually cold and snowy winter. I've heard several compliments about the great job that Margate does in keeping the streets clean and safe. I thank you. And I appreciate all our employees who fulfill their city duties professionally and responsibly. Thank you, really.
Your 3 minutes are up.
I know. I missed 2 meetings, so I had 9.
Okay.
2 other meetings.
Thank you. I have nothing else, so at this point, we'll open up to public comment. We're 3 minutes on...
Can I just...
Sure.
I also wanted to say that Scott is aware of everything. I did get an email after I sent that out about the emails that Rich Steeney was CC'd on everything. So, Scott, you can comment more if you want.
The only comment I have is you're obligated to give all the emails, and I believe they have been given. That's my understanding. Now, they may have been Rich Steeney's copies, but I don't see a problem with that, just as long as they're provided, and I think we're in compliance with the law.
Sewell, 22 West Drive. Mayor, a suit does not a counselor make. It may be suitable for free elevator ride operator outfits, but not for this type of thing dealing with the state of New Jersey Attorney General's office. And not to have you accused of practicing law without a license, but this letter, February 26th, and your letter, February 24th, requires our esteemed city solicitor to apprise the State Attorney General's office that the executive order is arbitrary and capricious. It must be uniformly applied, and therefore, we'd like to strike the whole executive order as being void for vagueness. Don't you agree, Mayor? Don't you think your solicitor might agree, perhaps? Question, Mayor.
Oh, yes, I do, John. I think that part of the procedure will be to get our solicitor's input.
Well, if you remember what I said, all these things should be run through the solicitor first and foremost. And had you followed the advice given, we might be ahead of the curve. Instead, we're behind the curve, and this is unconscionable. However, let us go to another topic raised by your cohort, co-defendant, and co-conspirator regarding that infamous calendar, Mayor, that she implied was fully paid, almost. The devil's always in the detail, Mayor. Perhaps she was in court as a juror, and she did not realize that El Presidente, sitting back there, scored 5,000 American dollars. Let him explain it on his 3 minutes, Mayor. Well, be insulted, Presidente.
By my name, sir.
El Presidente. You said you wanted to be addressed as president. You're being addressed as
Let's both be
president.
civil.
I'm fully civil, Mayor, especially to you. So let's get the facts and figures correct. He acknowledged that $5,000 was being directed to that calendar. In previous years, that was taken care of by Fred Verna. I don't know what the story is now, and I don't know who's involved in it, but I think it requires greater light of day.
15 seconds, John.
That's
You
enough,
did
Mayor. You
judiciously.
can keep the 15 seconds, Mayor. I've said enough for a day.
Thank you.
Ed Berger, 9402 Amherst Avenue. Good evening. Just to set the record straight, the $5,000 to the NBA is for next year's calendar. It's not for this year's calendar. This year's calendar was self-liquidating, and the process was conducted by the city. Next year, the calendar will be taken over by the NBA. The $5,000 was put in the budget to help us with the printing costs and to offset any additional costs that we may incur, because the city does not want to be in the printing and advertising business. So, is that okay by you?
Sort of, kind of.
Don't care. Okay. Do I need to introduce trees, or is it there already?
We forgot to bring it up, so if you would be so kind, unless you want me to use the time, so you...
Go.
Okay.
Trees.
I'll give you Mr. Sewell's 15 seconds.
Well, thank you. Trees. We discovered a program through the Forestry Service, New Jersey Forestry Service, that would, through the Sustainable Market Committee, that will grant us up to 2,000 free trees for residents in the city of Margate. They're bundled in groups of 5. We regret that we had to rush this through, but we just found out about it this week, and the deadline for making application is tomorrow. So there's a resolution on the table tonight. We've already had a conversation with Public Works Department about putting together a program for distribution, and the way it will work essentially is that we will pick up 2,000 seedlings from the Forestry Service and then create an event or opportunity for individual residents to come up, pick up seedling packs of 5 for free that they can use to replant for storm-damaged trees in the area. So that's the summary of the program. No cost to the city.
Should we pick a date? Frank's on board, I'm on board, I think everybody would be on board for that. Should we select a date to do that, or?
I think we just, if the resolution passes tonight, then that's the approval that we need. It's part of the 3 parameters that we need, which is to have a plan, have it signed off by the commission, and then to let them know what the event will be taken care of. So.
The resolution is on the agenda?
Yes, for the 5 o'clock
65.
meeting tonight. That's why we just had to discuss it at this meeting as well.
Cool.
Good to go?
Anybody? Questions? Anyone? Thank you. Anyone else? Public comment?
Art Cortelli, 114 North Lancaster Avenue. I have a little question about ordinance number 2014-07. You mentioned $3.7 million is going to be appropriated for this, and there's no definition or breakdown as to how much goes for each of these. I'm concerned about the design renovations for Firehouse number 2, and also the purchase of vehicles for the Public Works Department. How much of that $3.7 million is being allocated to upgrade
Lisa, do you
Fire
have that
Station number 2? Just for the design of it, not
There's
for-
copies of the ordinance right there, the full ordinance.
Oh, it's there? Okay.
There is, and the design cost for Firehouse 2, there's $25,000 included in that. I would have to verify what the exact amount is for Public Works vehicles.
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
And then the last thing is, Ann Pencoast, for the dog park, to name the dog park after her, maybe you can use the same policy that you used, whatever it was, to name, I guess, Wellington Avenue on Jerome Avenue. You have a parentheses, Raoul Wallenberg. So whatever policy you use there, rather than spend, a year or something trying to come up with a policy, however we changed the name of that street or added a name to the street, if we can use that same policy to name the dog park after Ann Pencoast. Thank you.
Thank you. Just for public information, that's something that the city has done in the past. The basketball courts at Jerome Avenue, folks, are named after a former city employee by the name of Joe Henry. There's a street behind Maynard's, which is named for the former owner of Maynard. So this is not something new that hasn't been done before. That's it. Any other public comment?
They usually don't come up to meetings, but 2 weeks ago I saw them.
Would you give us your name and address, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. Sheldon Weinstein, 6 North Jasper Avenue. I usually don't come to meetings. You guys do your business. I do mine. I try to stay out of everybody's. But when I read that our librarian is getting $136,000 a year, I looked on the computer because I wanted to see what the librarian in Boston gets paid. Boston has many universities. Margate has a great elementary system. The top salary in Boston is $86,000 a year. Most of the librarians get paid between $40,000 and $60,000. I don't know how this happened. I don't know where it started, but something's got to be done about it. And I happen to like the gentleman up there. Jim Callahan's a nice guy, and he's a gentleman. But come on, fellas, that's ridiculous. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Weinstein. Anyone else?
Mike, I just might like to add for the record, maybe the gentleman could check the libraries in Westfield and Milburn and other cities in New Jersey that offer comparable services that our library offers here, and also check the 10-year, the amount of time that Mr. Cahill, it's Cahill, has spent in the Margate Library. The time and dedication and effort that he puts forth is unmatched anywhere in New Jersey, and I would put our library up to any other library in the state of New Jersey related to the services that we provide and the expertise that he offers. So in that regard, I just wanted to put that on the record. Thank you, Jim, for all you do for the residents of Margate.
Shell, I would like to say something about that article, which I've kind of kept quiet about. It was really not totally correct, was not well done, and was confusing. It said that, I think Mr. Cahill's salary was correct. It said that there was comp time paid for, and that's just not the case. Mr. Cahill and his assistant were hired on a separate contract approved by the library board to help convert on their time the library's new computer system from the county system, which they didn't feel was adequate, to the new system that they purchased, which also included the Margate schools. And that is exactly why you see that there were charges there, I think over a 4-year period, and it was not included before nor after. So that article was not exactly, truthful. Okay. Any other comment? Public comment. Last chance.
Sharon Simon, 424 North Thurlow. Where to begin? As far as the librarian issue, I agree with the comments of Commissioner Blumberg and Mayor Becker. Unfortunately, Mayor Becker, would have been nice if you would have made those comments when you were asked for a comment in the article rather than stating, I didn't know he was paid that. And also, if there is an issue with that, it should be publicly known that you do appoint the library board members, and they are who approve the salary. Actually, I take a lot of offense to Commissioner Taube's comments because I, unlike Commissioner Taube, do not go after people because I don't like them or whatever. I look at the issues. I can't disparage you, Commissioner Taube. You can only do that yourself. What I do is I make public the things that need to be made public and that people need to know. And that's what disparages you. And this library article is a long line of things where you go to the press because you go after anybody who stands in your way or disagrees with you. And it not only disparages people in our community, employees, it also affects our legal fees and on and on and on and on. And it needs to stop. I have never said anything that was not truthful that you're doing. Take, for example, the issue in Public Works when you fired 4 young people because they have some association, you believe, with Tom Hiltner. And then you went back, do not speak, it's my turn.
There are 4 temporary employees that we hired for the summer.
This is public comment. Then you went back and rehired 3 of them. One day they're good enough to work for us, one day they're not. These are people. They have lives, they have incomes, they have responsibilities. Just because you don't like what they do, knock them over. Knock this one over. You went after Marketplace Realty. It's enough. Stop. It's costing us too much money. With regard to the Attorney General and the Dunes project, is it my understanding that, based on that letter, that this commission is not taking any stand against or with anything, and it's just saying, okay, thank you very much, Attorney General, we are now part of this project? Is that the position the
That is
commission is taking?
incorrect.
What is
We
the
have just
position?
presented the letter, we will
Okay.
talk about it, and we will move forward with advice from counsel.
Okay, and it was also discussed...
15 seconds, Mrs.
It was discussed early on, and it's necessary that to get any legal advice on that, it needs to be someone other than Solicitor Abbott, because he has conflicts of interest here. Not anything about him.
Thank you.
His
Your time's
conflict of
up,
interest.
Mrs. Simon.
So if we're
Thank you.
getting legal counsel on whether we should go ahead and fight or whatever you want to do, it should be an independent attorney, and it should not be...
One of the things that we might,
Excuse me?
talk about is getting an independent counsel to give us a legal opinion.
And when might you talk about that?
Whenever we're together.
You mean in a public meeting?
You'll be the first one to know.
No, I mean
Your
in a
time.
public meeting, is that what you're talking about?
Possibly, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, I would like to respond, though.
Sir.
For the record, I do not have any conflict, and so for someone to throw that out, that I have some financial gain in the city going to beach attraction, is absolutely ridiculous nonsense. I don't have any conflict of any sort. Now, whether or not the governing body wants to get an independent attorney to review it, that's up to the governing body. But please don't disseminate false information or try to maybe harm my reputation by saying I have a conflict of interest, which is absolutely false. And if you do think there is one, then put it there. We'll take
Sit
it to an
down.
ethics board.
You're done.
Because it's not true.
Sharon, sit there. I don't care what you want to do.
Okay, I don't care what you say. When I say conflict of interest, that doesn't mean you did any...
Yes, opposing the DEP in many cases. I don't have any conflict.
And
I just want to say I in no way was disparaging you or saying it in a negative way.
Well, I took it that way.
Well, it's the same thing, Marketplace Realty.
Only to me, though, Scott. She only disparages me.
Be you disparaged because you can't be a Marketplace Realty? No, it's just you have a conflict of interest.
anyone else?
Mary Slowmine, 9 Exeter Court, Margate. I wasn't going to get up and talk today, but I did want to say a little something about the Margate Library. Several years ago, the Margate Democratic Club was looking for a home. We had grown. Previously, we had meetings in people's houses, and we went over to the library. I did not know the gentleman that is in charge of the library. I don't personally know anybody that works there, other than I go there and get books out. I cannot tell you how courteous and opening they were. They explained to me the whole process. They told me that they have a calendar. They gave me a form to fill out. I've been there for 4 years. I've had nothing but great support, and I saw that article in the paper, and I really was confused by it. We all know that there's tons of people in this state that are overpaid. I don't think there's anybody here that doesn't know of at least one person that's overpaid. But you can't compare your teacher salaries across the board. You can't compare your superintendent's salaries across the board. And I wouldn't change one thing about our library. And I just want to say that because I feel like people in other areas called me up and asked me what the purpose of the article was. And I said, I really have no idea, other than to say that some people are paid more than others that, are in charge of libraries. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mary. Anyone else?
Steve Warner, 103 North Sumner Avenue. I got a couple of things to say. Number one, I think that it's, and I said this before, I think it's an excellent idea to name the dog park after Ann Pancoast. I don't believe there's a single person, I've been here my 65 years, going on 65 years, I don't know anybody that worked harder in this city for this betterment of this city than Ann Pancoast. She devoted her life to improving things in the city as she saw fit, and she was a very fair and honest person, a kind person, and I think it's an excellent idea. That's number one. And so I strongly urge you to go ahead with naming the dog park after Mrs. Pancoast. I can't think of anybody that deserves it more. And also, as far as this letter from the Attorney General, the acoustics in here aren't so great. Did John say that we should just disregard this letter? Is that what I heard you say, John?
Not quite.
Not quite.
Not quite. I said we should get the esteemed solicitor to counter that letter with the appropriate legalese and not rely upon
Steve.
hodgepodge of the mayor.
This way, Steve.
Okay. Well, in any case, I haven't really studied this, but on first reading, it really seems very clear that this is the Attorney General, okay? And they tell the city of Margate what to do. And to think otherwise, you're putting the cart before the horse. This is the law of New Jersey, and the governor is the head of New Jersey, and Margate, I believe, will follow the laws of New Jersey. I'm quite sure when everything, push comes to shove and everything is said and done, it's going to be according to the laws of New Jersey, not according to the wishes of a few people in Margate. I'm quite sure about that. And I guess that's, and the only other thing I wanted to say, since everybody wants to comment about the library, when the concerned citizens went to the Margate Library, they were great. The guy was terrific and bent over backwards. I think he does a great job, but frankly, I think he's getting too much money. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Anyone else? Is there a motion to close public comment?
I'll make a motion that we close public comment.
Second.
Mr. Becker? Yes. Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Dalby?
Yes.
Is there a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Becker? Yes. Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Dalby?
Yes.
Thank you all. We'll take a very short break and do this.